And they were like, wait, you're a mom? Like, what? Like, how? And, they were like freaking out. How are you doing what you're doing? You have a kid. And how? I'm so scared. And I was just like, just because I'm a mom doesn't mean I can't keep doing what I'm doing and I can't care about stupid stuff.
Yay. Welcome to Real Pod. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm very touched.
You're touched?
Yeah,
Of
you don't go
course.
on a lot of pods.
I don't do a lot of pods. I told you that it's weird for me to sit here.
Why is it that you don't go on a lot of pods?
No, I just do the ones that I know the person or want to.
Yeah, no, it's true. I used to say it's weird when you go from a place in your career where you say yes to everything because every opportunity is helpful, and then have a shift of, wait, my time is valuable and I don't really want to do all this.
I know. I'm actually I've been like that from the beginning, which is probably bad. I'm not saying this is good. I don't know. I wonder what it is about me, but from the beginning will only do what I want to do. Here's an example where it's bad, right? Wanted to be an actress my whole life basically, but when I was like 20, I was like going on auditions. I'd only go on auditions that were close to my house, that were at an hour that was convenient to me, that I didn't have to stand in a line, that I found out that before you have like an hour that you go in. Who the fuck do you think you are? And this isn't like diva, it's just like, I'm trying, but I'm trying in my own way. And I always say this too. I wasn't like sleeping in my car. I'm like the opposite of actors sleeping in their car. I was like, oh, is this audition at noon, just at lunchtime, and I can get a, So that's how I am with this. I don't go to like events and things like that unless it's a friend's event. A movie I really want to see. I was just talking to my agent. Oh my God, look how I spill like my whole life in 5 minutes. I was just talking to my agent because you know how everyone has like PR today, influencers too, and whatever. So I was like, should I like have it? Like, I don't know. And I've always like kind of poo-pooed it because I was like, why do you need it? Emma Stone needs it, but like, why do you need it? And then she basically was like, listen, it's a big investment. And with you, it could defeat the purpose because you're not going to want to go to all these things that they get, because people don't know this, but when you see people at events, a lot of time their PR team got their invite, That's me at every event, everyone. Hi. I love the transparency.
Shamelessly.
Okay.
No.
Oh, so you have PR team.
So I'm so excited that you just said this.
Okay. I'm here to announce breaking news.
Well, I have had the itch to scratch for PR just because I'm like, what's possible? And I think there is something to be said about creating the hype around whether it's yourself or your podcast. For me, I really care about my podcast, and the PR I signed with, we were able to do this article and talk about Real Pod, and that's not just going to come without them, but it is expensive. If we had a house or like kids, it would maybe be different. But for me, I was like, I have an itch to scratch. I'm going to do 3 months and
you can do 3 months
and see where we're at after it. But it's wild how you do realize everything is paying for people who know this. Like,
I know. It kind of sucks to learn because the way I always hoped things were. And by the way, you guys, it can be like that. The way I started and still things come to me are opportunities that come to you.
Totally.
80% of it is that.
Well, when you said Emma Stone needs it, I don't, my thought was Emma Stone doesn't need it. When you're an A-list celebrity, everyone will have you everywhere.
I know, but Emma Stone is coming out with a movie, and her publicist needs to make sure that people know about the movie and book her on the Today Show and the whatever. That's what I meant.
That publicist is managing all of the press inbounds. Yeah. It's more, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like any PR I have is like forcefully trying to create
her bio. Here's her, reel. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I am anti a lot of things, which I'm open about, and not to say that I won't do the things that I'm anti. I was like, why do I even need an agent? And then a year later, like, I got one. But with PR, it just feels to me like a lot of influencers and TikTokers and all these, by the way, you guys, overnight successes that you're seeing, a lot of them signed with PR once they fucking hit the first viral video, right? Why? Because then that PR takes them and that viral video becomes a headline, and then that headline becomes the next event. So that is smart because that's getting their branding right away and them out there right away, them seen with the right people right away, them invited to the right places. So it's definitely smart, but I think it's about what you want. With me, it's like, what do you want, Amanda? Do you want to be seen more? no. And my podcast, like you said about
Right.
yours, obviously that's my baby. That's what I would want to
Yeah, but you don't need
promote.
PR when you have every Kardashian sister come on your show.
I know, but here's this, Victoria. I look back and I say, what would have been smart of me? And by the way, I'm never mad at myself. I'm always learning. You don't know these things, right? Imagine I took PR when I had Kim.
Fully. Like,
That would have been smart.
fully.
Why?
You'd be like,
People would say, who's this fucking girl that got Kim Kardashian? Whereas, yeah, my podcast made so many headlines then about what Kim said, and that's great. And I wasn't thinking then about myself, but looking at now from like a businessy perspective, imagine a PR team then of here's this podcaster, Kim Kardashian's fucking doing her podcast, and then you would have had a lot of traction of who is she, what does she do, like blah, blah,
totally.
blah.
You curate the narrative. And
Yeah.
to your point about these overnight sensations, I feel like I don't relate to that in a sense of like been at this for 5-6 years. I'm not going to call it publicist because I feel like that doesn't
Weird to
feel
say
weird.
it, I know.
The PR amazing girl that I work with, I had conversations with her for like months. She played college lacrosse. I just felt like we vibed and I was like, I'm not ready, but I'll let you know when I am. And then I felt like I was. And like I said, it's an itch to scratch. I'm just through month 1. I'm really enjoying
I'm
it.
gonna check in with you because
Yeah.
we're at this, because I swear I had the same exact itch. You just started now?
Yeah.
So literally had the same itch where randomly I answered this like email. By the way, this email that I got from this PR company was when I had Kim. Okay. And I answered it now. That was 2 years ago. All of a sudden, you know those late night thoughts you have in bed where you're like, huh,
Yeah.
let me get back to that email from 2 years ago tomorrow.
No, I love that meme. That's like no one, me in the middle of the night. Where's my birth certificate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
But
my God, where's my birth certificate?
to your point about emailing 2 years later, and then to what you were saying about only if it was convenient for you, I was going to bring this up anyways, but I feel like we have opposite, not energies, because I feel like I vibe with you and I love your energy, but I was the opposite in that I once woke up at like 4:30 to do a 5 a.m. interview with Kevin Hart's trainer for like episode 12 of Real Pod because he felt like a big guest for me and I really wanted to talk to him. So I went and did it at 5 a.m. And I feel like obviously that's not like ideal timing.
Yeah.
So is everything that you do really you're shooting from the hip, you're going with the flow?
Is that what I give off?
I just feel like it's not that you give it off in a negative way. You give it off in a cool way. Like, I'm living my life. I'm reporting on pop culture. I'm saying what I want to say. And it's not like when I consume it, I think it's something you strategically planned the week prior.
Correct. To a fault sometimes, right? Because a lot of times I'll say things that I regret that I said, or I'll be wrong, or I'll be 3 months late and people call me out. But you know what I always say? I would never call myself like TMZ, paparazzi, first on the sidelines of what's happening, breaking news. Yes, sometimes I have breaking news, but I'm really passionate about what I do. This has been my passion forever, like celebrities, pop culture, entertainment, like my dream since I was a baby.
What made that so enticing and attractive for you?
I think it's as pathetic as this will sound. Like, I always wanted to be in this industry, right? In some way, whether it was like an actress or this or that. The Hollywood thing, there are people that it speaks to, right? A lot of people, right? That's why people like pursue this dream. This is why people dream to have this dream. That's why people are scared to pursue it because everyone wants it. I was that fucking lame ass bitch. That's what I wanted. So I did like the acting classes. I did this, I did that. And I always in my head, I was working jobs and I was like, this doesn't represent me. Like, literally would say that to people. What do you do? Oh, I'm a content writer, but it doesn't represent me. That's what I would say. That
it doesn't represent
like
you?
I'm doing this for money. It's not who I am. It's not what I'm gonna do. Like, how delusional though. I love it.
But that's what's in being Delulu.
Oh God, I fucking hate that word.
You
though.
do?
I do. Do you love it? See, opposite
Wait,
energies.
We totally no. We are so
I hate
opposite.
Delulo.
That's
but I
so
might
funny.
flip. I might like it.
But you know what I was gonna say about your reporting? It is reporting. Before we got on, and I told you I have to wait for the show. You're the only person who talks about pop culture that like I go to your stories for like when I feel like behind or what's going on. I go to your stories. And the thing about that though is the narrative you have, your opinions influence like the masses.
I feel that, by the way. I feel that. And with the latest thing, what happened with Joe and Sophie, like from the fucking get, okay, I was like, Team Sophie, this is fucked up. What do you mean she's drinking and partying? He's drinking on stage openly. I was just like, this narrative is weird and I'm not supporting it in any way. And I thought this was like a unique opinion where I would get shit from his fans and whatever. Then all of a sudden I see Vogue, so many legit media being like, what the fuck is Joe Jonas doing? What narrative is Joe Jonas trying to fucking line up here that Sophie is a bad mom? And everyone is fucking onto it, and I love it. And I'm not saying I started it. I might have like influenced one writer. You know how it works, right? It's like somebody at E might have seen it. So I'm so happy that like, yeah, sometimes I talk on my fucking ass and like I won't put captions and my followers will be like, put captions, and I'll be like, what I'm saying is so not important. Like, you don't.
You're better off if you're better
off. Like, if you can't hear it at this time. So, and I really do choose, like, sometimes I'm like, I want everyone to hear this, even if they're, you know, hard of hearing or they're, you know, breastfeeding their baby. And sometimes I'm like, literally, if someone happens to have their sound on, they can hear it. But like, if they don't. But with this, it's like, yeah, there's some things that do feel important, but others I can be like completely alone, in my opinion.
Okay. I want to dive into this further because I think what I struggle with as I've tried to evolve in my life and as a person, and like I try to give everyone the grace of, I try not to judge them. I love to say that, like, even last night I run into someone and it's like, haven't seen them in a few years. Can I meet them with like openness and no judgment and allow that like they could be a different person or have changed from when I saw them last? So for me to feel like I can have like a visceral opinion on like Joe and Sophie when I don't know them and like we have no idea. I don't know. It's like, what if what we find out like is the opposite of what we're thinking? I mean, I don't know, but is that hard for you when you feel like you're passing the judgment on someone you don't know? Yeah.
And I think that like there does need to be a line. First of all, I always have a line in my mind, right? I'm not saying I'm not blaming, you know, I'm not saying Joe is an awful person, but there is a reality here, which is like the way media works. Like we were talking about the inner workings. It's not random that he's being seen at lunch with his kids after we haven't seen him ever at fucking lunch with his kids. These things aren't random. So I'm not going to say anything that we don't know. I'm going to say what we kind of do know.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like, I don't think Joe is an awful person, but here are the facts. All these things are coming out. That's not random. All of them coming out about Sophie being not great. That's not random. He's being pictured with his kids after promoting the narrative of, so I'm not saying maybe she cheated. Like, no one's saying that didn't happen. No one's saying like she didn't do something fucked up, but like, that's not jail. You know what I mean? Doing this, I feel, and by the way, I said this yesterday. I was like, I'm not some like feminist. I am one, but I'm not some like
you won't
every
blindly
woman is
support the
correct.
woman.
Right.
I feel
exactly.
This is such an important thing too, because I will get some comments similarly as well of like, but women supporting women. And I'm like, women supporting women who are doing the right thing, preaching the right things. Like, I don't just blindly support someone if I disagree with their values or their morals or their messages just because like they're a woman.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. I do respect, like, that makes sense. The same way I think about our shared producer, Christiana, we always say like, Taylor Swift if she doesn't want to be seen, she won't be seen. So anytime she's photographed, I'm like, it means something because she would, like, we didn't see her forever. She doesn't have to be seen. They could get her in the back entrance of a studio in New York.
Right.
So all that's interesting. Anyways.
But I do want to say that I have to, if I would sit and say, Amanda, how would you feel if this was about you or something? Then I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd be like, oh my God, I wouldn't want that said about me. Do you know what I mean?
So you just like.
So I have to like.
Not go there.
I talk about pop culture. That's what I do. Would I want to be talked about all day and dissected? Probably not. But that's why I think that I do it in a way that's like, I try at least to not be like super negative, to not be bitchy, to like have respect. Also on my podcast, like I'll never ask a question to a guest that's like sensational and will make headlines for me, but will make them feel uncomfortable, you know?
And I think that that's exemplified through the fact that you've reported on the Kardashians for such a long time, good, bad, everything in between, and have a great relationship with them, and they trust you, and then they came on your show, like, fully. I think that's what makes you so special, is like you can still like critique Courtney's outfit, or say you didn't like the way that they did this, but still be tight with them and be respected. Like, you have to have that, because if you're just praising everyone.
If you're just kissing ass all day, then like.
Fully.
You know.
Anyways, this is what you're good at, pop culture, talking about other people. But I want to talk about you. Like, I want to go deep, learn more. I did hear that you're really
love talking about other people.
You do.
How boring would it be if it was just me all day?
But that's what I want to know.
Okay.
I was going to say that because you're so chill, it did surprise me a little bit to learn that you were on anxiety medication.
Yeah.
So how does your anxiety...
I seem chill.
Yeah.
Oh my God, love that for me.
You're so chill. So how does anxiety play a role in your life, and when did you learn that it was interfering?
Well, it's so crazy because I look back at like my life before like my first panic attack, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea about like mental health stuff. Like, I remember having a boyfriend in college, which like I don't want to diagnose him, but like, whoa, like looking back, you know,
all of us looking back on our exes,
yeah,
like, can't diagnose,
but no, but this one is like, you know. So, and I remember he would tell me he's depressed, or like I'd be like, why are you like this, or why don't you want to leave, or why don't you want to go to this party, and he'd tell me he's depressed, and I literally was like this stupid that I was like, how are you depressed? We're having fun, we're at college, I'm your girlfriend, the greatest thing alive, hello. You can't be depressed. I didn't get it at fucking all, which I look back and I'm like, ignorance is bliss. Here's a prime example of ignorance is bliss. And then even in my choices that were so random, it showed that I was carefree, because when it came time where everyone was going abroad, my dream was to go to Argentina because of hot guys. This is how dumb I was too. I was like, these American boys are ugly. Like, let's fucking like go to Argentina. And then I found out I couldn't like get credits there. And I was like, but I love speaking Spanish. Like, where can I go? Chose Barcelona randomly. By the way, they speak Catalan, which isn't exactly Spanish. So dumb bitch again. Go to Barcelona super randomly. Like, just choose it. Like, Spanish speaking, okay. Credits, okay. Get there. This was back in the day. I'm 35. There were no smartphones and no like international calling from your phone. So I had to get this like remember those like cards, and like call my mom through like this weird way, and I had to charge that card in like supermarkets. So I think like it was building up for me as I was realizing like I'm away from home. I can't call my mom easily. Like, looking back now, right? I was staying in this like dorm that didn't have windows. There was like a brothel downstairs, like fucked up shit. The food wasn't sitting well with me. I wasn't pooping. Like, all this shit now looking back was like adding up, until like one day I was walking to class in Barcelona and had a panic attack. Then thought I was dying. Like, literally, I was like, I'm dying. And then imagine trying to get that across to like strangers on the street to help you. They called the ambulance. I ended up in an ambulance. Like, and I remember now like that they asked me in Spanish, like, if I have ansiedad, which is anxiety. And I was like, no, what the fuck is that? And then started for the next 3 months in Barcelona. It was like one giant panic attack. It was walking down the street and seeing just blurry. And I didn't go home because I didn't want to quit. And my mom is very like that too. She's like, you got to get your credits. You got to finish. Looking back, by the way, it's okay to say moms aren't always right. No, and I tell her that today. I'm like, your daughter's fucking figuratively dying. Like, she can come home. She'll fucking get the credits. But so that's when the anxiety started. And since then, which was 20 years old, and I'm 35, so 15 years, it's been like, it's like an ebb and flow. It's, yeah, there are months where it's higher. There are months where things are affecting it. There are months where you're like, damn, this is great. So yeah, so since then it's been present in my life. Fuck Barcelona.
I think that this image though of like feeling like life is great and you don't relate, that was me too. I mean, in high school, I remember when we had seminars, like a mental health professional would come in and I would like not be listening or like checking my phone because I'm like, this is for other people, not for me. Like, I get good grades, I'm an athlete, I'm ambitious. Like, it was so stigmatized to me as a weakness or as like something that's not good. And so I didn't want to associate with it. That like when I first started experiencing my anxiety was heavily performance anxiety with college volleyball. I didn't even like literally know what it was. The same way you're thinking I'm dying, not that I'm having a panic attack. Mm-hmm. But then my friends and I always talk about how once you have your first significant struggle with a mental health issue, the fucking floodgates are open.
Yeah.
Like, now the rest of your life, you're gonna see it differently.
Yeah.
Like, I had a friend who'd never been depressed and recently was struggling and now is like, oh my God, like I'm seeing everything differently.
Like looking back too.
Yeah, like just not understanding it in other people the same way you talked about your ex. And I feel like struggling with my mental health gave me like the compassion I have for like other humans.
I know. It's so wild how, especially with the looking back, like your college roommates, all these people, all these situations that you were like dealing with, and looking back, you're like, oh my God, she was struggling with this, or I was, or how weird that I thought it was something else. So listen, I do find a way to hug it today, right? And say it protects me a lot of the time. It keeps me from making those choices like we were talking about, like doing what I want to do, not doing what I don't want to do. I'll push myself, but not if it makes me like too uncomfortable.
What do you mean it protects you?
I want to believe that sometimes your anxiety signals things to you, gives you the feeling of maybe not to do something, yes to do something. You know what I mean? And sometimes listen to it. Sometimes if it's something's making you too anxious and it's not going to bring you that much joy or anything beneficial to your life, then you don't have to do it. If it is and it's important for you to get over, then okay, you can. But sometimes I feel like I listen to my body and it works out. And sometimes my body is just fucking does whatever the fuck it wants.
Yeah, but all this stuff, it's such a fine line, and it's really, it can be blurry with fully. Like when I'm feeling anxious, I have a gut feeling this is not right. Like I'm losing sleep. Like why would I go skydiving, or why would I go do the thing? But then something is going on in my life that's like really hard for me. And I'm like, I need to go to my therapist and I need to talk about this. But the thought about talking about it's going to make me start hysterically crying. So it's like, then I'm thinking, oh, let me avoid.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate between suppressing your emotions?
I think it's like what's really important for me to tackle this. You know what I mean? It's the same thing as making time for specific friends, and others you're like, it's okay if I don't see her. You know, she's not going to add to my life that much. So of course, if something makes me super anxious, I'll question it. I'll be like, why am I feeling this way about this? Doesn't mean it's wrong. But if it's like you're going to this event and you're going to be alone and you don't know who you're going to talk to and whatever, then I'll be like, Amanda, like suck it the fuck up and know that you can leave. But usually my anxiety is pretty different. It's like more like physical symptoms. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I get overly worried. And that's why I think there's that dichotomy with me, right? Because it's like she seems chill or whatever. Because I don't have social anxiety that much. I don't get too nervous around famous people and stuff like that. But I think for me, it's more like the everyday. It's more like the everyday stuff for me.
How does your anxiety meds impact you? Because I was on antidepressants, so I don't have any familiarity with anxiety.
Well, I'm on
meds.
an antidepressant, but it like helps with anxiety.
Is it Lexapro?
It's the same. It's Zoloft.
Okay, I'm gonna love it all. Live with Lexapro, you know.
What are you on?
I was on Lexapro.
Oh, and
I'm
did
not
you
on
like it?
Anymore. Yeah, I did. I felt like it just kept me from hitting like the absolute darkness trenches.
Yeah.
Like it like stops you like on the fall, but then also kind of keeps you in like a zone. I think it's different for everyone. It was really impactful for me to be on antidepressants while going to therapy, while trying to like work on things. But then I realized I needed to have an environment switch. Like it was the environment that I was in, the routine that I was in. And like I'm a full believer in like shocking the system, the routine. Like if you had gone home, but also similar to not quitting, I was playing volleyball and that's my environment. So I'm like, if I leave, am I a quitter? But you have to put yourself first and also believe that your feelings are valid. It's like that fine line. And then it's feeling selfish, letting the people down in your life. Did you have that at all?
I didn't. It was more me within myself of, first of all, accepting that I would be starting to take medication. I was like, me, Amanda, the carefree, cool bitch, needs medication. Like the stigma for me was so real, and it wasn't even about talking about it. I remember looking at the pill and being like, wanting to cry. How did I get here? How am I not able to just live normally like everybody else? I put this in quotation marks because that's not true, right? I need a pill. I need something. And then it's funny because my relationship with it today is like, so not that. I'm like, hey, little BG. You know?
You're like, wish I could pop more back.
I'm on a very low dose because when I started, I didn't go up from it. I was like, this is cool for me. Sometimes I'm like, should I go in a higher dose if I'm still experiencing? I think it's fine to think about those things. And I think that, sometimes if you're going through a really, really hard time, sometimes you need meds. I'm a believer in that. It's the same, you know how people say like, if If you have diabetes, you need your insulin shot. You'll know when you're at a place where like the breathing, the yoga, the therapy alone, the changing to eating habits won't help you. And you need some chemicals. Yeah. Same with like, like my mom is always like, is it clean? You know, about like a skincare. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you need some chemicals, you know?
With all that stuff, I'm like, my beautiful Yaya, knock on wood, 87, has had a heart attack. She has staples in her heart. She never had an organic gluten-free thing in her life. She has all the toxic things in her house. It's like
sheets, ding dong. Yeah.
And then I also have a friend who grew up in a very like clean home and now has every allergy in the world because she was like never exposed to dirt.
Wow. I mean, listen, moderation, babes. Yes, moderation.
Fully. Got to do what works for you.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask as well. You had this panic attack and your anxiety journey had started when you were 20.
Yeah.
Becoming a mom, how did that affect it? Because sometimes I'm like, I'll talk to my husband and be like, yeah, you know, I'll be depressed like either before, during, or after I have a kid.
Don't manifest that. I learned that manifesting is so real. First of all, I do say that about what I do, that I've manifested it, but I say it in a way of like, not some woo-woo thing, but like I put it out there for so many years and did something to work towards it. Like I said, didn't sleep in my car, but put little breadcrumbs. So that's my version of manifesting. But I've learned that I have manifesting powers. If I'd say what you'd say, I'd be depressed when I gave birth. You know what I mean? You can't fucking do that.
That scares me.
So don't do that. Be like, I won't be depressed. I'll be great. I'll be happy.
No,
don't put it out there.
You're right.
Okay, that's it. I'm scared now because one day I'll be like, ugh, Noah hasn't been sick in a while. Next thing Noah's sick. It's just like you put something out there, it happens. It's weird. So with getting pregnant, for a long time, my husband, it's always like the dudes who want it, right? Isn't that so weird? People think it's the woman being like, I want a baby. It's always like the husband being like, when are you going to get pregnant? And so he for longer was when. And I was like, when we have this amount of money and this, I had like a list of things. One of the things was my mental health is at a good place. I'm not saying the best it ever was. Carefree Amanda, she's gone. That's not going to be, but that I'm not starting this at a low point. So first of all, that was important to me. And I checked with doctors, by the way, and I stayed on my Zoloft. They were like, basically, the doctors I talked to, so always check this for yourself, were like, everything you do with medication, whether you're pregnant or not, is benefits versus side effects or possible negative effects, right? So what outweighs what is how you kind of make the decision. And then I had another doctor be like, it's like water, like about Zoloft. Like, he's like, why are you even asking me? Like, stay on it. So I decided to stay on it. And I want to assume that that's what helped me not spiral and be okay in the pregnancy, because for me personally, like I was trying to tell you about, my anxiety is bodily changes could have fucked me, right? Mm-hmm. Like your body is pumping thousands of more gallons of blood. Everything's changing. And I'm so connected to my body that if I'm like too hot or too cold or my heart's rate, like all these things, I feel them and they can affect my anxiety. So that's a reason I was like, oh my God, pregnancy is gonna, but it didn't. And I was fine. And I think it actually helped me when I gave birth. And you have this baby and that's who you have to focus on. So it's almost like you don't have time to be like, let me put this baby aside so I can spiral about something and have a panic attack. You know what I mean? It's like no time. Even now today, I'll get nervous on planes sometimes. If I'm with Noah, I don't have time to get nervous on a plane because I need to make sure Noah's okay. And I need to make sure he's not scared of landing and which he's not. He couldn't give less of a shit. But for me personally, and I'm sure it's different, but for me, Noah's kind of like my emotional support baby.
He is so sweet.
Thank you.
He's a little carbon copy of you.
Yeah, he really is.
And the story you posted the other day where he was like, you're my best friend.
And I was like, you're what? Yeah.
You're like helping him along. You're like, you just said it 2 seconds ago.
Say it again for the camera now.
But something you posted, I'm not a mom and I don't want to be one for a few years.
How old are you?
26.
You have some time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Fully. But
unless you're Kylie Jenner and you're 26 and have two, but yeah.
You had a post that was like, everyone's saying when you have a kid, you're going to stunt your career. It's false. Mm-hmm. And how once you had Noah, you have reached such career success that you hadn't before. Yeah. And I think about that often because there is such a conversation around, are you going to work? Are you going to stay at home? How are things going to happen? And I think sometimes I get nervous. I love my career so much. How is it going to be affected when I'm a mom?
Yeah. That's one of the things that I most believe in that I say, because like I said, I say a lot of things that are stupid, but you can be a mom and still be a dumb bitch. That's what came from there. Obviously there are some people who are like, why act dumb? Why act bitch? And it's just, what do you want me to fucking write a boring sentence? You could be a mom. Yeah, you could
mom
be
and yeah. Well, that's your brand. Mine would be, you can be a mom and still struggle. For everyone listening, Amanda has merch that says you can be a mom and still be a dumb bitch.
Yeah, it's funny what it came from. It came from, I was having dinner. You know, you have certain friends that like bring other friends sometimes and don't tell you before.
That would irk me. I can't do that.
So this friend brought two girls that I've never met. It's annoying. It's actually annoying to do. Yeah.
I just want to be prepared. Am I in the mood to meet people?
Right.
Will I ever see them again?
Well, she's not a good friend, so we'll forgive her. Like a good friend should know you better, right? The
That's
friend
even worse. Like a medium friend that you never see.
I should fucking not meet up with this girl anymore. So she brought two girls that were like 25, I think. And they were like, wait, you're a mom? Like, what? Like, how? And, you know, they were like freaking out. How are you doing what you're doing? You have a kid. And how? I'm so scared. And I was just like, just because I'm a mom doesn't mean I can't keep doing what I'm doing and I can't care about stupid stuff and I can't. So it kind of came from that. And this girl was so stupid that I kind of was like saying it to her face without saying it to her face. No, you could be a mom and still be like the same fucking dumb bitch you are right now. Don't worry. You could be a mom too. But that actually made me feel a lot better because when my husband was wanting to have a baby more than I was at the time, it was like one of my things on my list that I told you was career, right? I'm not where I want to be. At that point, I wasn't even making money from what I was doing. It was a hobby. I was working 2 other jobs. 2020, okay?
2020?
2020.
Oh my God.
2019, because I gave birth in 2019. And I was like, but like I said, it was like we had enough. I just wasn't where I wanted to be. And then I don't know what self-talk I did to get me off that ledge of understanding, okay, you're not gonna be exactly where you want to be. And hopefully it'll be okay. And I told myself throughout the whole pregnancy, even when this baby comes, I'm going to be with the motherfucking story, being like, hey guys, like blah, blah, blah. It'll be the same. And I did that. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I didn't change myself. I still, looking back, sometimes, you know, when those memories pop up and I'm like breastfeeding, you see up to here, my face is puffy. And I'm like, Army Hammer, this is crazy. And you hear like fucking Noah sucking on my boob. So I did what I said I was going to do, which was I'm not going to change because I'm having a baby. Like my life is going to change, but I'm not going to change. My interests aren't going to change. And what I'm saying is, again, not woo-woo shit, not have a baby, your career is going to fucking boom, right? It's like have a baby. If you want to have a baby, that doesn't mean your career is going to have to stop. And if you want to be a loser like me, just look up how many people have succeeded after they've had babies, which is like research that I did for myself to know, is it possible, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like I am that example now of like, yeah, things started happening even quicker and I started making an income from what I was doing 4 years because I started this in like 2016 after I had Noah, when I was like feeling gross and still wearing maternity clothes. So that's a really, you know, I remind myself of that a lot too.
It's an important narrative and story to share because I love how vulnerable society has gotten. I think 2020 opened that up, but it's almost like we talk more and we're always like, humans are more attracted to negativity and negative energy. It's like why the news is always so terrible and no one's watching. If the news was positive, no one would watch it. It's this weird sick thing in all of us that like craves the fear. And I, the other day, was posting, this is the closest example I can draw. People were like, do you and Max fight? In my head, I'm thinking, no, we don't, but I'm not going to post that. Everyone's like, you're so annoying. You think you're the perfect couple. You guys don't ever fight. And then I was like, no, I should say this because people should know if you're in a happy, predominantly healthy relationship, the answer to this question should be, no, we don't fight often. Like, I'm going to own that. That's our truth. And so similar to this, maybe people want you to be like, oh, being a mom is so hard. I can't work. I can't do this. It's ruined this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
Whereas
what you're saying.
It's so refreshing and it is hopeful because I've been like kind of scared by like TikToks.
Yeah, people always scare you. The first thing people say is like, don't have kids, don't have kids.
Like
don't have a second one. People say that to me. If I were you, I wouldn't have a second one. I was like, you had 3. You're telling me not to have a second one?
Yeah.
You're scaring me that it'll ruin my life even more if I have a kid. I'm like, you had 3 kids.
And so I just really appreciate it because like I said, I saw you post that. I don't even know where. If it was a feed post, a story, you said it, but I remember it. And it really does a lot for me.
I'm trying to get people to reproduce, I want to say things that I fucking needed to hear because those are things that I did that weird research, saw when people got pregnant, wanted to prove to myself that you can do this after you have a baby. And of course, like you said, like people are going to be like, wait, but I don't work the kind of job that you work. I work an office job
it's different for everyone. Like single moms, that's a whole other animal, not having that support or someone else you can hopefully help half the time.
Obviously.
But I just appreciate it because I kind of feel like I relate to like at least your career and where I want to be. And
not even career wise. Like I feel like you can take the mom stuff also and like you can still have your interests, your hobbies, your friends.
You can be yourself.
You can be yourself. Exactly. You don't have to. I know so many people, and these are close people, that after becoming moms, all of a sudden are only interested in like mom things or taking parenting courses, like to teach certain things. And I'm like, did you care about this stuff before you? Just because you're a mom doesn't mean now you're like, only care about fucking kid stuff.
You know what it is though? I think it's an identity thing where you can find a lot of purpose. I'm like, be very careful about what I say.
You're right though.
And so I think that can be powerful for people who are like, wow, this is my identity. I feel so empowered by it. It's all I want to live and breathe. But that's a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm maybe more like you where I want to be a mom and other things.
And
both are fully valid.
Yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to my cousin Taylor, is like the coolest fucking mom. You would not know this girl had a kid. Like she's herself. She works 2 jobs because she still loves to do Orange Theory. And seeing her too, I'm like, oh my God, you're the exact same cousin I've always loved growing up with, and you are the best mom to your baby girl. Like it's the best. Anyways, before we're almost done, but I want to talk about all this huge success. So we've talked about how, you've blown up the past few years. It's super inspiring for me because I feel like you stayed true to yourself. You kept chugging along. You kept doing your thing. You trusted the process. And one domino falls and it's like a chain reaction. Do you feel the shift in where you're at? Like from 2020 Amanda to where you are now?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
It would be.
What's the shift like?
It's in a lot of things. It's in business wise. Like I said, I wasn't making an income then from this. Then it was like, and this is why when people even ask, they want to be an influencer, they want to do, and I'm not saying you can't just want to be an influencer, want to have followers. You can, that's fine. But I swear, and I know this will sound like I didn't start from that place. So when I did it and the whole time working the 2 jobs and talking about this and whatever, I was like, if this is a hobby, then like how fun. What a cute hobby. But in the back of my mind, I was like, something will come of this. By the way, that something for me didn't have to be what I'm doing now. In my mind, I was like, maybe a Lead Daily will finally, accept my resume to be a writer, because I tried that. Maybe BuzzFeed will want me to like do some articles for them. Like in my mind, I was like, this could take me other places. I could add this to my resume. I put it in my LinkedIn. I just had this feeling that keep doing what you love to do. Who knows who's the fuck can see it? Anybody can see it. You don't need Kim Kardashian to see it. It could be Kim Kardashian's assistant. That's what I always told myself. So I was always hopeful that it would turn into something. And when it did, of course, you feel the shift. But for me, I'm still the same exact person that I was. Like I don't think anything, even sometimes I'm like, why don't you realize that you're in a different place? Sometimes I'm like, you don't act like you are.
But that's
Do you
a
get
good
what I
thing.
mean?
Never act like you're not.
Yeah, no, I
where
know.
you are.
But I mean in like the little things, where I'm like, you can afford to like do this or do that, and you still don't, because then you're not in that mindset. But yeah, I definitely feel it with everything. Yeah, it does feel nice, but it was a slow build,
It was a slow build and then a Bam. Kim
You think?
Kardashian.
Oh, yeah, with Kim, yeah.
What was the order? Khloe and then Kourtney?
Yeah, and it's funny because Kourtney was actually, which just shows you like manifesting is crazy. When I started the podcast and I did it with my sister and like it was super at the beginning, people would say like, who's your dream guest? And I remember Kourtney was it. And I'd be like, Kourtney, she was always my favorite Kardashian. But Kourtney doesn't do podcasts. She doesn't like public speaking. Like she gets nervous. Like she's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. And then she did Addison Rae's podcast. Addison Rae had a podcast for 5 minutes.
I'm like, nah, I don't remember.
Because it was a blip. And I was like, this would be surprising to people, but even though I've always liked the Kardashians, I wasn't like sliding into their DMs. Like I wasn't.
Yeah, how did Kim the first domino drop? Did you message her?
No, with Kim, Hulu reached out to me. I know this sounds crazy and like.
And was like, we want Kim
real.
to go on your show.
Yes, I was like,
that is so sick.
I literally checked the person's name. It was like Brooke something. When I was like, what kind of troll would do this to me? I was getting my nails done. It was like I have a website that I forgot that I have, like notskinnybutonfat.com. They did like a submission on the contact. So it comes in like weird when you do that. It's like new submission. I was like, what is this? And she's like, I'm from Hulu. New season of Kardashian's coming out. We'd love for Kim Kardashian to come on your show. And I was like, this is a sick joke. Who would do this? Then I Googled, I linked in Brooke. And I was like, she works at Disney Hulu. Like, this is legit. And that's how that started. But before that, when I wanted Kourtney, so like I said, I never slid into their DMs because I was like, they're never going to see it. Like, why would I do it? Today, I believe differently, by the way. Today, I'm like, DM people.
Shoot your
You
shot.
never know who's going to see
Yeah.
it. But then my ego may have been higher. It'd be like, I don't want to like DM and be a loser, you know?
It's
Today,
such
I'm
a
like,
game.
DM.
Yeah,
DM.
I agree. I just want to be me. I sometimes when that voice comes in my head, like, don't do this, say it this way. I'm just like, just be yourself.
So anyway, I slid into Kourtney. So I was like, come on mine. And this was like 20, maybe like 21. And she answered me. And I remember I was in the middle of recording a podcast because it came out for me. I was like so not angry she went on Addison Rae's, but I was like, come on my podcast.
No, wait, it's funny that I feel the same way. Like anytime like Taylor Swift does anything, I'm like, but Taylor, you could be on Real Pod. I'm like, even if we're 80 years old, I will do it.
I will come to the studio. Yeah, but that's how it was. It just came out for me. I was like, but you should do my podcast. And then she was like, oh my God, should I? And I remember I was in the middle of recording a podcast with somebody and I was like, oh my God, we have to stop. Kourtney Kardashian just answered me on Instagram. And then we talked about it and then she didn't. And then I remember I saw her and I was like, jelly, like Kim did it, you know?
That's so
And then Khloe did it. And then I was like, jelly, Khloe did it.
That's cute.
And then and then she came out with Lemmy and there was like a purpose and, you know,
Yeah.
she could talk about something and.
That's so unreal. Congratulations.
Thank
Like,
you.
So sick. And yeah, as a fellow podcaster and creator and all the things, I admire what you do. I love
you.
the way it doesn't feel effortless. It is effortless and it's authentic and you're sick. And so thank you for coming on my show. And
That
I
means
love
so
chatting
much.
with you.
Same.
Yay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Real Pod. If this hit home or helped you in some way, send it to a friend, a teammate, roomie. Share the love, share the realness. New episodes of Real Pod come out every single Wednesday. So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast so you never miss an episode.